everyone, this is Yana Smakula for Pretty Pink Posh, and thanks for joining me. Today I have several seasonal cards to share featuring the Happy Mail stamp set from Pretty Pink Posh. This is a smaller set that features an adorable mailbox, a little bird carrying a letter, one additional letter image, and 2 sentiments, sending you happy mail and you've got mail. There are also coordinating dies available that will cut all of the images in this set out. It's a fun and playful set that can be used to create everyday cards. This set has also impressed me as an all-year-round set, and I feel it works well for every season and can be adapted to just about any holiday. In this video, I will show you how I used it along with other sets from Pretty Pink Posh to create 4 cards for different seasons. Here, I've already picked a few images and arranged them on a cardstock panel that imitates my card front. And I do this to be able to better visualize my future card designs. I often do this, I'm a visual person, and seeing how the stamps would fall on paper helps me to better plan my cards. I'm going to stamp the mailbox and the bird images in alcohol marker friendly ink. I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black, and I'm stamping onto white cardstock. This is Nina Solar White 80 pound, and I'm going to color these with the help of my Copic markers. Whenever I want to do some quick coloring, I always use my Copics, but of course, these can be colored using any other medium you like. Just make sure to pick the right paper and the right kind of ink for your particular coloring medium. I decided to use a lot of reds, and I used R39 as my darkest color, RV29 as my medium color, and R24 as my lightest color to color the letter in the bird's beak and also the mailbox. I'll use these exact colors later, as well as the R22 as the very light color to color the flowers to dress up the mailbox for my card. I am doing very simple coloring here. Like I mentioned, I often consider Copic coloring to be a fast way to color, so I don't spend a lot of time doing shading and blending. I also used a C1 marker to add shading to the mailbox stand and also add shading to the letters inside the box. I wanted to keep these things white, and adding a little bit of light shading using a gray marker is the best way to do this. There's also grass at the foot of the mailbox, and I'm coloring it using YG67 and YG63. I usually add a YG03 marker to this combination, but it is in a bad need of a refill, so I'm not using it these days. I looked for various color combos online as I wanted to find one that would have red as a dominant color. I rarely use red like this on my cards, so I was a little bit at a loss as to what other colors I could bring onto my card to make them work with red. I remembered about the vintage red and teal color combo. I can't say that it's my favorite, but it's a great color combo that works really well for red, so I went with it. If you guys know other colors that work well with red, especially when red is a dominant color, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to use red more often on my cards. I used BG18, BG15, and BG32 to color the bird, and I colored it teal, and I'll later use those exact colors to color some of the letters in my mailbox teal. I knew I wanted to dress up the mailbox and add some flowers onto it to make it into a blooming one, so I looked through my stash for small florals. I came across the Bold Blooms stamp set. It's one of my favorite sets from Pretty Pink Posh. I just love all of the tiny flowers, so I used it to stamp a few flowers and leave outlines. This stamp set also has solid layers that go along with the outlines, so you can skip coloring and just stamp solid layers using colored ink. But since I was doing coloring for this card already, I wanted to keep things consistent, and I colored these images as well. I used the same colors of markers as before to stick with my red, teal, and green combo. Next, I used coordinating dies and cut all of these out in my Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine, which sits off to the side. Once my die cutting was done, I started working on the background for my card. I blended some Malibu ink from Simon Says Stamp using a light hand and a mini round ink blending tool. I just wanted to add a little bit of color onto the background without making it too bold or vibrant. I think that this color worked really well with my teal coloring, and it tied the whole scene together. I did stamp and die cut a sun and clouds as I was planning to use them to add something else to my scene, but later decided against it and skipped adding those elements. I used a white iridescent shimmer mist ink from Hero Arts to add some shimmery splatter onto my ink blended background. I like using this ink lately. I often spray it to have a nice shimmery coverage on my cards. I stamped the sentiment, sending you happy mail, using black ink and my mini Misty stamp tool. I positioned the mailbox onto my panel to be able to better plan the placement of the sentiment, and I also added 2 branches under the sentiment just to help frame it and make it more festive. These came from the Holiday Greetings stamp set. Once my stamping was finished, I used foam adhesive squares and I foam mounted all of the parts and pieces in place. I added my mailbox under the sentiment in the middle of my panel and foam mounted the bird right above the sentiment slightly to the left. Next, I started adding the little flowers and leaves that I had additionally made. I used glue and foam adhesive to adhere those onto my card, and basically I created just a little floral cluster on the left-hand side of the mailbox. And I think that this really helped to make it into a more festive image. And I love how the size of the flowers worked perfectly with the size of the mailbox. It's like these 2 sets were made to be used together. I've said this a few times in the past, but this is what I really love about Pretty Pink Posh. All of their sets are designed so that the size of the images works really well among different sets. So if you take a critter from one set, a mailbox from another set, and a flower from yet a third set, the size of all of those images will be perfect to help you tell your little story. I used Pretty Pink Posh jewels in sparkling clear, and I adhered a bunch onto my card. I also trimmed this panel to be 4 by 5¼ inches, and I adhered it onto A2 white card base. As I was working on this card, I thought about how awesome it would be to use this mailbox all year round. This prompted me to go through my older stamp sets from Pretty Pink Posh to create additional cards incorporating this mailbox image into other seasons, so to speak. I had a blast making these cards, and if you look closely, you'll notice that I kept the mailbox colors absolutely the same. So here's the card I made for fall. I swapped flowers for autumn leaves and mushrooms. I added orange ink blending in the background instead of teal, and I completely changed the look of this card. Mushrooms came from the Woodland Critters set, and the autumn leaves came from the Autumn Blooms set. This card ended up being my favorite of all. I love the warm color combo and all the little red mushrooms next to the mailbox. My next card is for the holiday season. I swapped the sentiment for one that reads, "Sending you warm winter greetings." I made sure to use a sentiment that has the word "sending," as I think it associates well with the mailbox and letters. I also used holly leaves instead of flowers and mushrooms, and I colored my bird as a robin bird and colored some of the letters green to go with the red, white, and green color combo. All of the additional images I used here came from the Holiday Greetings stamp set. And last but not least, I have a card for Valentine's Day. Here, I once again used lots of flowers, but I also added 2 little cupids above the mailbox. They are shooting their arrows and sprinkling lots of hearts around. These images came from the Cupid Friends stamp set, also from Pretty Pink Posh. The Happy Mail stamp set can be easily incorporated into other seasons and occasions. If you swap flowers for Easter eggs and add an Easter bunny, you can make it for an Easter card. Add more flowers and a Mother's Day sentiment, and you have a great card for mom, and so on. Here is a closer look at the 4 seasonal cards created using the Happy Mail stamp set from Pretty Pink Posh. I hope you feel inspired to create. If you create something inspired by this video, we'd love to see it. Be sure to share it on social media and tag us. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment below. Thanks. I will see you next time. Bye.